Welcome everyone to another top 10 most expensive Pokemon cards. Today we're featuring the EX Team Rocket return set, and let me tell you, these prices on these cards are astronomically insane. You're going to be blown away by what some of these cards cost. Also, make sure you stick around to the very end as I'm going to show you what a booster pack and booster box cost and show you why it'd be better just to buy these cards individually than to open up packs and try to collect it that way. Alright, now before we get into today's video, don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't yet. Comment down below what set you would like to see in next week's top 10 most expensive. And if you're not a subscriber and you like this video, think about becoming a subscriber today. We also have membership options available for anyone who wants some cool Pokemon items, cards, slabs, god packs, you name it. There are membership options for that. So check it out when you get a chance. All right, let's get into today's top 10 most expensive Pokemon cards featuring EX Team Rocket returns. At number 10, we're starting off with the Rocket Scyther EX. This card is going for a current price tag of $123.85. Its number 10 is already in the hundreds, which is absolutely insane. PSA 10 of this card is worth well over $1,000, and a PSA 9.5 does drop significantly to $304. The cheapest this card was going for was back in May of 21, only worth $15.50. How that's even possible and it's a price that it is today, I have absolutely no idea. But if you bought this card 3.5 years ago, congratulations, you got a good steal. The most expensive this card was back in July of 22 at $164.30. At number 9, we have ourselves the Team Rocket's Zapdos EX going for $124.98. PSA 10 of this card is only $750, which is still a lot of money, and a PSA 9.5 drops to almost in half to $400. This card's cheapest price was back in September of 23 at $47.16, and the most expensive point this card was back in January of 24 at $138.85. At number 8, we have ourselves Here Comes Team Rocket at $125 ungraded with a PSA 10 of $850. PSA 9.5 drops pretty significantly, almost $600 to $233. This card's most expensive price tag is current at $125, so don't buy this card now, I would say. And the cheapest this card was back in October of 21 at $70. At number 7, we have ourselves the Dark Houndoom pre-release card. Note, if it does not have the pre-release stamp on it, it is not going to be worth this much. It will probably be worth significantly less. But the pre-release stamped Dark Houndoom card is going for $155. The PSA 10 price is going for 600 smackaroos, where there is no 9.5 or 9 currently up on the market, but an 8 is only worth $83. So in my personal opinion, buy a PSA 8, break the slab open, and you saved yourself about 50% on this card if you get that boy out clean. The most expensive this card is current up to date at $154.99, and the cheapest this card was back in August of 22 at $54.31. Coming in now at number 6, we have ourselves Rockets, one of the legendary dogs. And for anyone who doesn't know about this is really cool. I found this out today. You have Zapdos, Articuno, Moltres, right? So you have Articuno, 1. You have Zapdos, 2. You have Moltres, 3. And then if you look at the dogs on their head, right, Raikou has a symbol for 4 on his nose. Entei has a symbol for 5 on his nose. And Suicune has the symbol for 6 on his forehead. It also goes on to Regice and all of them as well with their eyes. So, just thought that was really cool information. This card's going for $169, with a PSA 10 of almost $2,000. PSA 9.5, wow, it gets pretty much slashed in half with the price. The most expensive this card was $265 back in July of 2022. And the cheapest this card was back in May of 22 at $110. Literally before it exploded, it was the cheapest price. I don't know what happened there, but that's kind of crazy. At number 5, we have ourselves the Rockets Snorlax. I used to always think this was the most expensive card in the set, but it's only coming in at number 5, which I am mind baffled by. He's going for $198.50 with a PSA 10 of $2,243. Absolutely insane. PSA 9.5 literally gets cut in half, and the PSA 9 gets cut in half almost of the 9.5. This card's most expensive price was back in August of 21 at $390. And the cheapest this card was going for is almost up to date currently, but back in December of 23 at $176.56. At number 4, we have ourselves Rockets Mewtwo coming in at $200, well, $201.94 with a PSA 10 of $1,907. Jeez Louise, PSA 10s go for a lot. 9.5, the card gets cut more than in half of what it's worth at a 10, and everything after that, it drops only a little bit. 8 does also get more than cut in half than a 9, and a 7 gets almost cut in half from an 8. The most expensive this card was from May of 21 to November of 21 at $450, and the cheapest this card was July of 23 at $111.30. Now, before we get into the top 3, I am going to go through the honorable mentions of the honorable 5 that were quite expensive, but not expensive enough to make it into the top 10. Number 5 of the honorable mentions is going to be the Dark Tyranitar Reverse Holo, going for still a crazy $79.63 with a PSA 10 of $1,244. The most expensive this card is pretty recent from March of 24 at $92.53. And the cheapest this card was in September of 21 at $35.20. At number 4, we have ourselves Rockets Scizor EX coming in at $81.08 with a PSA 10 of $1,291.50. The most expensive this card's price was back in August of 21 to November of 21 at $154.04. The cheapest this card was back in April of 23 at $70. At number 3 of the honorable mentions goes to Rockets Articuno EX. This card is going for a current $96.50 with a PSA 10 of $1,033.49. This card's most expensive point was back in February of 21 at $152.50. With the cheapest this card was back in October of 21 at $77.50. Still crazy. That's such a huge price jump. It's insane. And number 2 of the honorable mentions goes to Rocket Sneasel, going for $96.63 with a PSA 10 of $879. And a PSA 9.5 drops drastically to $173. The most expensive this card was back in July of 21 at $146.29. And the cheapest this card was back in was back in January of 22 at $70.50. And the number 1 honorable mention for the most expensive of the honorable mentions goes to the Rockets Moltres EX. This card is going for $116.91 with a PSA 10 of $829.87. The PSA 9.5 drops drastically to $329. And if you look at this, you can see that in December of 23 was the most expensive this card was at $127.06, with the cheapest it being back in June of 23 at $63.50. Now it's time for the top 3 most expensive cards from EX Team Rocket Returns. At number 3, we have ourselves the Trico Gold Star going for $500 and a PSA 10 of over $6,000. That's absolutely insane. The PSA 9.5 drops drastically to, it's crazy to say drastically, because it's still $1,766. PSA 9 drops to $1,600, PSA 8 to $1,000, and PSA 7 to $954. The most expensive this card was pretty recently, back in April of 24 at $518.29, so it's coming down a little bit. The cheapest this card was back in February of 21 at almost half the price at $287.50. At number 2, we have ourselves Toric Gold Star coming in at $754.42. Oh my goodness. A PSA 10 of this card can go for $12,000. $12,000. That is insane. That's going for $12,000. And the PSA 9.5 pretty much drops almost $10,000. That's insane. A 0.5 difference is like $9,000. That's insane. And everything after that drops little by little. The most expensive this card was back in September of 22 at $760.39. And the cheapest this card was back in February of 21 at $341.25. Now it's time for the top number 1 most expensive Pokemon card from EX Team Rocket's return. Remember to stay tuned after to hear the booster pack and booster boxes prices as well. The number 1 most expensive card is the Mudkip Gold Star, going for $801.25, with the PSA 10 not as much as the Toric, but going for $5,600. So the ungraded card is a little bit more expensive than the Toric, but coming in with the PSA 10, you're going to want to go with the Toric. This card's most expensive price is actually recently and currently up to date at $801.25, where the cheapest this card was back in March of 23 at $358.18. And now, let's get into the booster pack and booster box as well. And this is probably a good reason why you should just buy the cards instead of the booster packs. Because a booster pack here is going for $509.25. With a PSA 10 booster pack of $975. Heck, you can have a PSA 10 Toric in there for $12 grand. I don't know why you're grading these, unless they're light and you know it's light. Still a little whatever-ish, but whatever. This booster pack was most expensive back in September of 22 at $817.36, with the cheapest price at $412.50 back in November of 21. Now, if you think about it, a booster pack costs $509, where literally the third most expensive card goes for $500. So you can buy the third most expensive card for $500, and it would be cheaper than a booster pack, which you might not get any hits at all in it. So it would be, if you're going to completely want to master the set, just buy the cards individually. You'll save a ton, and I mean a ton, of money. Now, a booster box, yeah, you think a pack is worth a lot? This booster box is going for $26,200, which is absolutely insane. $26,200 from January of 24 to May of 24. That price is insane. And if you buy 36 booster packs, that's not going to make it up to there. That's going to only give you $18,000. So literally, it's a lot cheaper to buy these individually. That concludes today's top 10 most expensive Pokemon cards featuring EX Team Rocket returns. Don't forget, if you want to see a set or an individual Pokemon featured in next week's top 10, make sure you comment down below what it is. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't yet. And if you enjoyed today's video, think about becoming a subscriber. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to say saying with me. And if you don't know the saying, prepare to learn the saying. Let's make hollows great again and keep poking on. Until next time, peace out and have a great rest of your day.